The Weight of Hands and Wings. Lila packed her life into a single suitcase, each item a piece of a future she was desperate to begin. The air in her room felt heavy, thick with the unspoken words between her and her mother, Ilara. To Lila, her mother's practicality was a cage, a well-meaning but unyielding force that had always kept her grounded while Lila dreamed of flight. Ilara stood in the doorway, her hands clasped in front of her. She watched Lila with an expression Lila couldn't decipher, a mix of pride and a quiet sorrow. Lila felt the familiar tension rise in her chest, a silent plea for her mother to understand the wings she felt growing on her back. Without a word, Ilara walked to Lila and placed a small, smooth object in her palm. It was a sea-worn stone, its surface polished by years of waves. Carved into its center was a single, perfect star. "Before you go," Ilara said, her voice soft, "I want to tell you a story. When I was your age, I had a dream too. I dreamed of the sea, of the salt on my skin and the wind in my hair. I wanted to travel to the far corners of the world, to see every star in every sky." Ilara sat on the edge of the bed, her gaze drifting to the window, lost in a memory. "I imagined myself on a ship, the sails full of wind, with nothing but the horizon ahead. My dreams were of wings, of soaring over the world and seeing all its wonders. I carried a map in my mind, a constellation of places I yearned to visit. But then, the world changed. The weight of hands became more important than the dream of wings. The hands that built a home, that tended a garden, that held a family together. These were the hands that chose to stay. I learned that the greatest journeys are not always across the sea. Sometimes they are in the quiet moments, in the sacrifices we make so that others can fly. I chose the weight of hands so that you could have wings." Ilara turned back to Lila, her eyes filled with a love that was both fierce and gentle. "The practicality you see is not a cage, my love. It is the foundation I built for you. It is the solid ground from which you can launch yourself into the world." Lila looked down at the stone in her hand. The star was not just a carving, it was a promise. It was the dream her mother had given up, the dream that had now become Lila's own. The practicality she had once resented was, in fact, the deepest act of love. The weight of hands had given her wings. Lila looked up at her mother, her eyes brimming with tears of understanding. She reached out and embraced her, holding the stone tightly in her hand, the star, a beacon of the love that had always been there, waiting to be seen.